What's up, Rotogrinders? Dean here, Dean78904. That is the daily fantasy handle. It's I just sent out a tweet for the people. Hey, we got Chief Justice 06. Will, it's nice to have you back. It's been too long. TJ is lurking as well too. We'll talk to him in a second. Will, welcome back. We got a 9-gamer, so not a ton of time for pleasantries. Of course, you're going to regale us with some DFS takes, some prize picks takes. You were talking a little bit of hockey with us pre-show, so you're all over the place.
Yeah, man. Listen, if we've got an opportunity to get involved and make a little money along the way, I'm in. And hockey fantasy points. Look, I'm not doing anything special, okay? I almost feel like Blender when I say this. I'm literally pulling up the RG hockey projections, comparing them to prize pick lines. Never mind. I'm just going to quit saying it now because now they know what I'm doing. They will adjust them. Anyway,
they're already on you for basketball. You moved the needle. You and the prop shop moved the needle, right?
We can move the needle a little bit from time to time. But that's what I'm doing, and it's I fully understand it's not going to work every single day, and I get that. But look, I'm a company man. I trust what we're doing here. I trust the sausage factory. What's going on behind the scenes to arrive at these numbers. And so I just find inefficiencies. And guess what? I don't even have to think to do that. I don't have to go, because see, basketball, I know too much, right? I know too much about basketball. So from time to time, I may actually disagree with our projections based on matchups and the eye test, because I watch a lot of the games. In hockey, I like hockey, but I don't, from a DFS perspective, you're not going to come and get hockey information from me. So I have to solely rely on our projections. And I must say, to all the guys working on the hockey projections, I know we might not have any live shows, or there might not be a lot of Twitter interaction, but personally, I appreciate you. Please continue cranking out beautiful hockey projections for everybody that's involved. Thank you guys so much.
That's also, we talk about the RG Premium and all that kind of stuff, and I always talk about how we tend to give away 1 week free of RG Premium during these shows. If, just a one random person, producer Devin's lurking in the live stream chat. Where is that at? Rotogrinders.com/Discord. If you guys are watching us on YouTube, jump on over there and join the conversation. Before you do that, hit the like button, do subscribe, do turn on those notifications as well. But again, if you go to rotogrinders.com/Discord, join the conversation. One random person that's joining the conversation, asking questions, which we'll answer later on in the show, pertinent to the slate, presumably. You get yourself 1 week free of RG Premium, the lineup HQ, the optimizer, the ownership stuff. And it's not just for basketball, college basketball, NHL, MMA, golf. I'm probably missing a sport there. If there's ever baseball again, it's not going to be in a week, so that doesn't matter, but you know what I'm saying. And we should also mention, Chief, we kind of talk about it, every once in a while, remind the people, but give them a reminder, tell them what is the prop shop? Where can I find that? Is it free? Could it be just for anybody? Do I have to be a premium member at Rotogrinders, or can anybody just wander in there and say hello?
Yeah, anybody can wander into the prop shop. It is free. However, not just anybody. I do want to clear that up. You do have to have a Rotogrinders account. You can't just be a nomad or a hobo from Twitter. You have to have a Rotogrinders account,
which is free.
Which is free.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a premium subscription. And so I hope that what we've put together in the prop shop, along with, because quite frankly, Dean, while my name might be on the prop shop, the people inside the prop shop are what make the prop shop. And, if those beautiful people have helped to build it to where it is. And so I think the price of free admission for the prop shop alone is worth you getting a premium subscription at Rotogrinders. I really believe in our company and the product that we provide, and the vision from the top down. And so, we want to make this thing great for everyone. And so I hope the prop shop, leads to more people deciding that they want to invest in their DFS future. And I know we got a 9-game slate, but Dean, that's how I got started, right? I didn't magically appear on Rotogrinders one day. I had a subscription and I paid money to learn and grow. Spent tons of money in the Roto Academy. And now the Roto Academy is free. Like, I don't think people understand the Roto Academy is free now. So I had to spend, $9.95 a course or $12.95, and follow courses from Dave and JM to Win and
Noto,
yeah, STL cards. Jack's wrote a show. I mean, he wrote one for football, and I took all this information in, and it's absolutely helped to shape my DFS career. So, man, I didn't mean to really pump the company up, but I'm a byproduct of investing in Rotogrinders, which is actually a direct investment to myself. And so that's how you have to think about it. You may be spending some money, but if you want to be better and you want to get good and you want to grow in the industry, then, I advise everybody, invest in yourself. So don't think about it like you're giving Rotogrinders money. Yeah, you're giving Rotogrinders money, but it's for you, takes money to make money. If you want to start a t-shirt business, you go out and buy t-shirts and then you sell them, right? And so you invest in a piece of fabric and then you turn around and sell it to be profitable. Well, here you're investing in your brain, hoping that you're going to retain the information and grow and learn. And then on the back side of that, let's hope you have some success consistently. All right, we got a 9-game slate. I've been out for a while, so thank you for giving me the stage. I'm going to be quiet for a little while, and let you do your thing, because we do have another genius up north there in Canada by the name of TJ, who's also hanging out with us today.
Felt like a good segue to say what's up. I'm here too, because I had a similar path to Chief. Like I started with I think my first RG subscription was in 2015, did all the Road Academy stuff as well, did a lot of trial and error with MME, learning kind of the ways of it and stuff like that. And this year I've had a 6-figure NFL season and a 5-figure NBA season, and a month from now you'll be seeing me in a new office in my new home, as opposed to this chaotic box filled background.
That's awesome. 9-gamer TJ, apologies, I didn't mean to neglect you or anything, but
You're good.
We gotta, Chief's been out for a while, so we want to remind everybody, where he's at, and also we want to let people know, say hello in the prop shop. It is free, but let's talk about this 9-gamer. It's a big boy, obviously. We're gonna break it down game by game in a second. A lot of the top players are on it as well, with Giannis and Jokic basically headlining it. SGA is now a top player. It's a current situation. He's got to be in that conversation. Depending on where you're shopping, as far as the cheapies, like Malachi Flynn is going to be really popular on DK, not so much on FanDuel. I think Beasley, same deal on DK. Your general thoughts as far as the slate before we kind of dive in and break it down game by game?
We got some fun kind of game stack situations that I'm looking at. I really like the Minnesota OKC game. It looks like a lot of fun. So I'm excited to get into this one today.
Chief, you got anything before we kind of dive in?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and crank out one of these plays from Prize Picks, and it might not feel great on paper, but Kentavious Caldwell-Pope has really been scoring the ball pretty well. And I just want to get that one out there. He's at 13.5. He's been at 13.5, I think, since I've come back. And, they're playing Atlanta, should be an up and down game. And yeah, I know it's kind of been this every other scenario, but I mean, he's averaging 17 points his last 5 games, 15, 13, 24, 7, 27, 13.5, I think is a touch too low in a spot where he's kind of going to be really running around. So I like that line a lot. So yeah, there you have my first Prize Picks drop of the day.
You said it's 13.5, is that correct?
13.5, yes.
I just pulled up the NBA premium projections, not just the actual fantasy points, but you can kind of go behind that and find the breakdown as far as how the points are coming together. We do have KCP projected for 15.19 for the record. So that's,
hey man,
that's more.
I do this for a living.
All right, first game, let's talk about it. Cleveland, Philadelphia, 216.5 is the total. Philadelphia is a 7.5 point favorite. As far as Cleveland, I don't know if Rondo's been officially ruled out. He's doubtful, but I don't think it matters so much with Garland being good to go. Of course, LeVert is out. Kind of, I don't know if it is a big one, but I think it'll be filled in by multiple players. But Tobias Harris on the other side, he's questionable with his illness. But like the arrival, TJ, of Harden, it's Harden and Embiid and everybody else. Of course, there's Maxey, who's the third guy, and Tobias is like the most heavily paid 4th man in the league. I guess maybe they would start like Gorgui Yang or something like that, but I don't know how much that matters. This is a tricky thing here for me, TJ, because I like Harden, I like Embiid, but if I'm power ranking my studs today, neither one is on the podium for me. Cleveland, their defense has fallen back a bit, since the start of the year. I don't like it, but I'm not running 100 lineups. Like, of course, I'd get little pieces here and there, but there's no priorities on the Philadelphia side or the Cleveland side. I don't like this game at all.
Yeah, this is a fun show for me, actually, because I feel like so often that I've been doing these, I've been like, I got a busy night, so I'm only playing one lineup, but I'm running 150 tonight, so I'm ready to break this stuff down. I'm same boat with you. I'm going to be sprinkling in Embiid and Harden. They're low owned, and so it's pretty easy to get at least at the field or overweight on them tonight. But other than that, I'm going to be pretty much avoiding this Philadelphia team. Like, Maxey's price has gone up. Tobias Harris, since Harden's got there, I think has like a 15% usage rate or something like that. Like, he just does nothing. And so if he doesn't play and we see somebody like Korkmaz enter the starting lineup or Niang enter the starting lineup, I'll mix them in as values, but still, they're not going to be high priorities for me.
Yeah, it's weird that Tobias Harris being out like almost doesn't matter. Basically, he's still questionable, obviously. You said you're running 150. I think you're a FanDuel guy, right?
Yeah. Running 150 on FanDuel tonight. I'm tempted to play some cash on DraftKings tonight, just because it kind of looks like a very straightforward build with some easy value. But yeah, 150 on FanDuel is going to be my focus tonight.
On DK, by the way, nobody in this game getting more than 5.7% ownership as of now, and neither of which is named Harden or Embiid. They're both around 3%. So, for tournament reasons, for ceiling reasons, like, of course you can play those guys, but there's no optimal reasons to play them. And on FanDuel, the biggest ownership is Embiid. That Embiid price is really good at 10.8. And I probably would like it more if Jokic wasn't a thing, because both those guys are underpriced, and Jokic is more severely underpriced at just $200 more. That's kind of my thought in FanDuel. What do you think, TJ?
Yeah, exact same boat for me. Like, I'm definitely going to be sprinkling them in, like playing lots of lineups. I want to get over the field just because we know Embiid has a massive ceiling. We know Harden has a massive ceiling. We've been watching these guys for years, but they're definitely not going to be my highest targets. I like how you said they don't make your podium, because that's kind of the same boat for me. They're interesting, but they're not my top targets.
Will, do you disagree with us? Do you feel basically the same? Is there any priorities in this game for you?
Well, I mean, we're starting to get on the DraftKings side of things. I mean, Embiid and Harden are both priced like, in my opinion, like they're playing independently of each other. And not that they haven't been able to get there alongside each other, but I do feel like, and look, I know Harden dropped the 80 bomb against the Knicks, okay, but I'm saying in a normal situation, I'm not expecting, both of these guys to hit ceiling, right? In terms of, I don't see them both going for 70 on a consistent basis. One maybe 50, the other 60 something, and that's going to be fine, right? It's not gonna hurt you, but at these prices, I'm looking for really these prices. We need pretty much 70, because that's what we're going to get from Jokic, a lot. So in that from that perspective, I'm not really interested. I will say this: as Tobias Harris's price begins to continue to creep down on DK, I'm going to get more and more interested, because as we've watched things evolve, it does look like he's the odd man out. But I gotta think at some point Tobias Harris gets reinserted and figures out a way for this to work where he can get his too, right? So that's kind of, I'm on watch with that. It's kind of like, I think the most recent one I had was Clint Capella when he was down to like 5,200. And it's like, okay, like you have to start taking some shots now, because it's way too low. And so with Tobias Harris at 6,700, I'm not as interested, but as you can tell, I'm kind of starting to prepare for maybe next week when he might hit 6K, 5,800. Like, we're starting to get close. So I'm almost hoping that he continues to fail so I can get him against like Sacramento or something. One of those teams where you can just get up and down and run and do a few things. But all in all, I don't really want to play anyone from Philly, even Maxey. I do have interest in Jared Allen tonight at 7,600 against Embiid. I do think his minutes are stable. He should be on the floor. Is he going to be in some foul trouble? Let's hope not. But he's got a shot to go for 45, 50 in this game if everything aligns well. And I know we haven't really seen that since last month, but I do think he has a shot. And so at 7,600, under 1%, he'll probably come in a little over 1. But I think it's a little bit too low owned for a guy that's got some ceiling. At 7,600, I think is reasonable.
Yeah, this Cleveland side I like a lot more than the Philly side. And I talked a lot about how I like this slate from a game stack perspective. This isn't one of those games. But I don't mind, like, I might set a rule that like I play max 1, max 2 Philly guys. And going over to this other side, I like a lot of the Cleveland players, but I wouldn't want to be playing many of them together just because of the total. Like Garland 7,700 on FanDuel, I like a lot. Jared Allen 7,500, I like. Mobley 7,200, I'll take some shots on. I'll have Kevin Love in my player pool. I'll have Markkanen in the pool, even though I don't really like them. But none of these guys are picking up any ownership right now. So they're great guys to just sprinkle in because they do have ceilings.
What's a sprinkle? So like, say you're running 150. Are you gonna have any Cavs more than 15%? Probably not, right?
Probably not, but just like looking at these ownership projections we have right now, I'm refreshing just to make sure that I have the most up to date. We have Garland, Allen, and Mobley and Love all sub 1% on FanDuel right now. And so if that's the case, like I will get 5% of all of them so that I can be 5 times the field on them. I'm assuming, like Chief said, they're going to be higher than 1, but these are still guys that will all be sub 10. So I don't mind getting in the 5 to 10% range on all of them and being over the field.
And your favorite, Cav?
Probably Garland on FanDuel.
All right, let's move on. Atlanta, Washington, 225 is the total. 4-point favorite is Atlanta. They are on the back end of a back-to-back, and they are traveling. Okongwu is still out. Speaking of Capella, minutes are solidified. They will be even more solidified if Collins sits. Collins is currently questionable. Washington essentially fully healthy, as healthy as they're going to be. Porzingis, Beal, not walking through that door anytime soon. TJ, I'll throw it to you. This is another game that, I think it's mostly getting neglected. Do you agree with that?
This one to me is a lot more fun to get overweight on than the Cleveland Philly one. Even though these teams are a bit uglier, the totals are higher. There's probably not going to be a ton of defense being played. And like Trae Young has just been on a tear lately. And so like we saw him questionable game time decision before. This is a back-to-back. As long as there's not something funny we don't know about coming later. I love Trae Young tonight. 9,100 on FanDuel. On DK, what's his price over there? On DK 10-2. See, I don't like him as much, but he's only 3%. So like that's the same thing where Trae Young at 3%, he's got a 75 point ceiling. That's a guy that you like getting overweight on in that situation. So I like it for Atlanta. I like Trae Young. You can take shots on Hunter as a salary saver. Guys like Capella and Gallinari, I'm considering leaving them in the pool, but I don't personally love them.
Looking at our ownership, kind of jump from site to site, FanDuel and DK. KCP is the most popular player on FanDuel, just because he plays a pile of minutes and the price is pretty cheap, kind of makes stuff work around him. 31% is a big old number for KCP. I don't know if it's going to get that high, but, I can see why people would roster him. Young, we're seeing at 17% on FanDuel, justified again, speaking to a ceiling. It is a back-to-back. There is travel, and allegedly there was a question as far as him playing yesterday or not with that ankle. But if he goes, I assume he's going to full go. Like, why not? Half measures, what's the point? DK, the biggest ownership guy we're seeing is Gafford. The minutes still aren't really there, but he doesn't need that many because he's, still pretty cheap and a pretty good fantasy producer, but his ceiling obviously subdued. We're projecting 22 minutes, even and he's probably still starting in that. They just give him short bursts, essentially. Kispert's the next guy at 10%. I don't like that at 4.4. I don't think I'm going to be in on that. KCP at 4.8K at 7%. And like you said, Trae Young at 3% on DK. Jump in here, Will. What are your thoughts as far as this game?
Yeah, I mean, mostly on DK, it's just, how do things line up? I don't mind a sprinkle of KCP. I actually don't mind a sprinkle of Kuzma at 9,400, just because, a guy that can get a 60, I'll take that all day for 9,400. So I think he's definitely in consideration in mass multi-entry GPPs. And of course, Trae Young, I don't have to explain it. He's 10-2, and he's been, really scoring at an enormous clip here the past 3 games, Dean. If you look over 41, 31, 39. Now that one game he had 31, he put up 42 points, but guess what? That was against Boston. That's what I expect, right? I expect lower fantasy outputs against a reasonably good defensive team. And he still put up 31 real points. He just wasn't able to hit the peripherals. And then you see what he was able to do against Chicago and Toronto. And while Chicago may be ranked really high in the league in terms of wins, they're not a better defensive team than Boston. So I like Trae a lot here. In terms of ceiling, if he plays against Washington, he's got one of the highest ceilings on the slate. I know Giannis is on the slate, and we've got Harden and of course Jokic as well, but I'm saying Harden and Embiid. But Trae's got just as good of a chance to hit a ceiling as any of these other guys in the spot.
Yeah, what do you think of Kuzma? Single-digit ownership here, TJ. Like, again, if you're running 150, I assume he's at least in your pool.
Yeah, he'll get there for sure. I lost too much money this year just not believing in Kuzma, and I still don't believe in him as a player, but as a fantasy performer on a team that has not very many other guys, I've bought in. So yeah,
Yeah, it's like you have to do it, right?
Yeah, you have no choice. And like, it's just been like every single night he's been 35% owned and I have like 20%. And I'm just dang. And so yeah, tonight when he's only projected to be sub 10% owned, I'm definitely going to be getting over the field on Kuzma tonight. And like a guy like KCP, that's another one that I love. He's in a great spot, but I don't think I can get to above 30% of KCP tonight.
Yeah, yeah. He's a prop play in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like
he's a great cash play too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. I will say this, Dina, I didn't mention it. I know Clint Capella is 6,200. Washington really has struggled with inside this season. Clint Capella could have 20 rebounds tonight. I just think at this price, right? Now, I will like it a lot more if John Collins is out. For the record, if John Collins is out, I'm even more excited. But, we could see Clint Capella go for, like I said, close to 20 rebounds here in this game. And if he goes there, now we need him to score a few points, a couple blocks, and he's right there, kissing 40. So I do like Capella tonight against Washington.
TJ, you got anything else this game?
No, I think like Trae Young is one of my favorite plays on the entire slate. I think like if for tournaments. You're going to hear me say this a lot tonight, but like with guys like Giannis and Jokic, I like them a lot. I think they're very great plays, but I see guys like Towns and Trae Young and Pascal Siakam who are just massive salary savings compared to those guys. And I think they're going to have similar ceilings tonight. So you're the lower tier of high price guys I'm going to like a lot tonight.
The last of the 7:00 games, Indiana, Detroit, 229.5 is the total. Detroit 3-point dog here. Duarte is questionable with his toe. Bataze is also questionable with his foot. Detroit Cunningham is a wrist, so he is questionable. It's a back end of a back-to-back for Detroit for what it's worth. Bagley did not play last night, expected to be available tonight. And Frank Jackson is questionable with his back. Yeah, it's Cunningham out should change some things for Detroit in theory. TJ, if Cunningham does not play, how does that shake things up for you?
Yeah, like despite a decent total, if Cunningham does play, I don't have a ton of interest in these guys. If Cunningham is out, they're gonna be more interesting to look at. I'm pulling up Court IQ right now to kind of see how their usages look when he's not on the court. But these guys have so many bodies now that it's kind of tough to love any of them. Like you got Jeremy Grant looks okay, but like their prices have been starting to go up too. And now you see Marvin Bagley coming back. And so Olenek, Bagley, and Stewart are basically going to be splitting all of those big minutes. And it's pretty muddled up. You look at our minutes projections and the highest person we have projected is 32 minutes. And that's Cade Cunningham, who's currently questionable. So guys like Bay, guys like Grant, they're all right. But now that they're in the mid 6Ks, they're still not great plays for me.
I think we saw Bay play like 37, 38 minutes last night or something like that. I think Grant is interesting. The Indiana, the inside for Indiana is just awful. They're really missing Miles Turner. Batazi is not going to help if he plays. I don't know if he plays or not. Like Smith and Brissett and those guys just not getting the job done. And Grant, I think, is at 3 straight games, like 25 straight points or so. I kind of like Jeremy Grant tonight. More so if Cunningham is out. I think he'll take a couple more shots shuffled his way. But like you said, Detroit still is going to find a way to just run a bunch of dudes out there. And generally speaking, they don't push their guys too hard. Again, Bay played a ton last night. I mean, incremental bumps for guys like Diallo. Joseph still played 30 plus minutes last night. Not very good, didn't do anything, but just he'll eat up some minutes for you. Will, what do you have as far as Detroit? And then we got to talk about, speaking of minutes, Malcolm Brogdon, who for multiple games this year has left due to injury. He played 41 minutes last game, overtime granted. And like Indiana's going nowhere. And they supposedly asked him, he's like, yeah, I'm fine. But I don't know if we're going to just assume Brogdon's playing 35 minutes going forward, because if he is, he's kind of interesting too. What do you have, Will?
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to get 35 minutes out of him, then I think we're in good shape, because what's happened with the Pacers is, remember before they had Brogdon, they had LeVert, they had Sabonis, and it's like, well, you felt like all of those guys kind of really ate into each other so badly that perhaps you just kind of couldn't play any of them when they all were healthy, which was seldom. Now you've got basically Brogdon and Halliburton, who have most of the upside, and then everybody else are kind of secondary pieces, and they can kind of get there. So like O'Shea Brissett, I do think he's overpriced, right? But I'm segueing that to say I think we can still play Brogdon and Halliburton, because those are the two upside pieces on this team. You're going to get some upside from Buddy Hield from time to time, but I think he's priced a little bit too high with Brogdon back in the fold, right? Buddy's 74, Halliburton's 87, Brogdon is 76. If I had to peg, anybody on this team to go for 45, probably be Brogdon. If I had to peg anybody on this team to go for 50 plus, it would be Halliburton. And then if I had to peg anybody on this team to go for 30 to 32, it's probably Buddy Hield. And which means to me at 7,400, he's just a scratch off. And he very well could come out and torch Detroit tonight. But I'm going to fully expect Brogdon and Halliburton to do most of the heavy lifting and Buddy shoot a few threes here and there.
We got Brogdon projected for 33 minutes. And if he plays 33 minutes, TJ, you're playing on FanDuel at 7.2K price. I think it's pretty appealing.
Yeah, big time. It makes it very, very tough for me to get to Halliburton just because I have them very similarly projected, and Halliburton's $1,400 more expensive. And so I'm definitely going to be making a group that I'm not going to play them both in the same lineup, because just based on their projections, I'm thinking I'm going to be getting to a lot of Malcolm Brogdon. It's going to be very difficult to get away from. Other than the two of them, I think the only pacer I'm really planning on getting to today is Jalen Smith. He's got power forward eligibility on FanDuel. He's 5,800. Not going to be getting to a lot of them, but he's got sub 1% projected ownership right now. I'll probably be getting to about 5% of him.
Jackson not in the pool for you. Like, he's another really good, he's their best fantasy point minute player on the season. Isaiah Jackson, 1.24 DK, 1.33 fantasy points per minute on FanDuel.
I meant to mention this too, Dean. Sorry.
Yeah.
In terms of Indiana, I do like O'Shea Brissett over first half fantasy points. I think the line is at 11. I do like that. He's actually hit that consistently. And of course, you guys know there's a sheet out there by a good friend of mine in the industry named Nargs. It's on Twitter. But I mean, his last few games, let's go last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's go his last 10 games, Dean. How many times do you think he's gone over 11 fantasy points? Last 10 games in the first half. Last 10 games.
8 or 9?
Absolutely. 8, and then at one game was a push. 16, and most of these games he's been over fairly well. 16 and a half, 12.6, 15.4, 17, 24.1, 28.2, 23.2, 12.4. Now, some of those, of course, Brogdon wasn't playing, but I've tracked the games that Brogdon's been back, and he's still 17, 15, 12, 16. I think it's a good line, and we may not get it. He'll probably come in at 12. If he goes over tonight, he's probably coming in at 12 and a half next game, which is going to change things a little bit. 1.5 points in the prop world is a big deal. And so I think O'Shea Brissett at 11 flat fantasy points for the first half is a steal.
Yeah, I like that too. And the one thing I'll say, Reed, Jackson versus Jalen Smith, is if you want to play Isaiah Jackson, play him on DK where he's sub 1%, same price as Jalen Smith, who's 10% owned. Whereas on FanDuel, he's more expensive, and Jalen Smith isn't picking up any ownership there anyway. So,
yeah, I mean, he's 5'9" on FanDuel, and yeah, like you said, nobody's going to play him over there. His ownership is less than 1%. But again, he's been really good when getting run, but his run, the Indiana is kind of muddled as far as trying to figure out who's going to be in there. You mentioned it. Well, I mean, I don't know if Bataji is going to play or not, how much many minutes he would play, but Jalen Smith's another guy that can get things going as well too. Brissett's the worst amongst the three as far as fantasy points per minute. TJ, got anything else as far as this game, or shall we move on?
No, let's keep it going.
All right, this is a fun one. We could see some revenge out there on the behalf of Alex Caruso, sweep under the leg of Grayson Allen. Dirty Grayson Allen. 240.5 is the total. Milwaukee is a 5-point favorite here. This is the ESPN national TV game as well. Of course, Grayson Allen is the dude who injured Alex Caruso. Very dirty play. George Hill is not going to play for Milwaukee. Pat Connaughton also out. Chicago is healthy as they have been. Zach LaVine's going to be playing through that knee injury. Will, let's start with you and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Here's one of the big boys. We talked about Harden, talked about Embiid. There's Giannis. We got Jokic on layaway. This Bulls defense ain't good. It's a national TV game. I think Giannis is awesome. I don't know how he's going to fit with me as far as lineup construction, but I would be thrilled to land on him if I have the salary for it and the rest of our lineup is not severely weakened. Talk to me about Giannis and the rest of the Bucks.
Yeah, Dean, here's how I'm going to talk about this game. In terms of teams 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 6, they're all separated by 2.5 games roughly, and kind of go from there, right? 76ers are 38-23. The Bulls are 39-24. The Bucks are 38-25. Chicago's lost 3 in a row. Bucks have won 2 in a row. And if they win tonight, they will be 39-25, and so will the Bulls. And believe it or not, the Bucks are in 4th place, and everybody's kind of, I know James Harden being in Philly has kind of changed things because now people feel like they're massive championship contenders. And I tend to agree. I think what they've accomplished against, really bad teams to start is good for their momentum. Why is that important? It's after the All-Star break, baby. And people
Chief,
want their.
I got to cut you off quick. Chief,
go
I got to
ahead.
cut you off. Put some respect on the Raptors. 6 points, 6 games out of first place in the East.
Put some respect on the Heat, the number 1 team in the East. Hello.
No. Wait. Listen. This was really about teams 2 through 5 and 6 because they're all like
2 through 7. There's
but the
Raptors,
Raptors,
the Raptors in there.
But there's big drop off between in terms of I'm saying 2 games. And then, but 6 to 5 is a half game, 5 to 4 is a full game, 4 to 3 is a full game, and they're playing each other tonight. So essentially, they could be tied if the Bucks win. And then the Bulls and 76ers are both sitting at 2.5 out of first. They've got essentially the same record. So it wasn't an insult to Toronto by any means. I know.
Reality check. The Raptors have no chance to win anything this year. I apologize. It was awesome. They won a couple of years ago. It was a cool story.
They have a chance to win a playoff series this year.
Okay, well, if you want to, who are they beating? The Bulls, maybe?
They could beat the Bulls.
Yeah, maybe.
They could beat the Bulls for sure.
I think the Bulls fall back for the record. I think Milwaukee and Boston pass them by.
The other thing I wanted to mention before we're too far away from the Detroit-Indiana game is Cade Cunningham is on track to play. And so because of that, I'm interested in some Cunningham, but not very interested in the rest of Detroit.
Good.
I'll check Cunningham's PRA, and if it's reasonable, I'll probably have that one because Indiana's not good on defense either. But anyway, the point I was trying to make with this is Trae is like my sneaky stud of the night. Giannis is probably my number 1 stud of the night because I do expect this game to be competitive. And it's playoff time. Like this team is ready to play. You hear them, Drew Holiday in the interview talking about the game winner and being able to hit that. But what is he talking about? And he said, hey, we're just trying to build consistency. We're just trying to be consistent. And what I see out of this team that I don't think we've seen in years past is they don't feel like they have to be the number 1 seed to go all the way. To me, that's the most scary championship team. Those are some of the most scary championship teams when they know we don't have to be a 1 seed to go all the way. 3, 4, 2. Okay, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. What the heck is bothering me? Nothing's bothering this team. They know they can get there. And when the dust settles, I think they'll probably be anywhere between 1 and 2. And so I think, this is going to be a big game for them tonight. Not in terms of competition because people aren't going to stop Giannis. But I think they want to win this game and keep moving up the standings. They win this game tonight, I think they will hop the Bulls and be in 3rd. And so it'll be a good win for them for sure.
DFS-wise, I think Giannis is easier to play on FanDuel than he is on DK. Duh. He's 12-3 on DK, 11-3 on FanDuel, and FanDuel just has a looser build. For that reason, that's why Giannis is grabbing almost 40% ownership, TJ. Do you think you'll find yourself around that number, above it, or below it?
Definitely above it. Definitely above it. I agree with Chief. He's my top pay up option on today's slate. I like him better than Jokic. I have him projected a little bit better than Jokic. And the biggest reason is like the spread. Like the Denver has a bit of a higher total, but this should be a very competitive game between two of the top teams in the East, where the Denver-Houston game probably won't be. I love Giannis tonight. The biggest thing that always holds him back is minutes, and minutes shouldn't be an issue in this game, especially because it's in Chicago. Yeah, I love Giannis tonight.
What about his teammates?
Chris Middleton, I don't mind getting to at his mid 7K price tag. I think I'm going to have a tough time getting to a lot of Drew Holiday. Sure, he's probably got a 50-point ceiling, but now that he's back over 8K, I'm going to have a tough time getting to him. Bobby Portis, fine, but like he's in the 7Ks now as well. I will have Grayson Allen on one or two teams.
Oh no.
3,700. He's a guy that like, I think he cares what people like when he's going to be in a hostile environment.
Out of protest, I won't roster any Grayson Allen.
Duke's got a big game tonight. I could see Grayson Allen popping off. He's 3.7K. I will have him in 2 of 150.
TJ, don't worry about Jason Allen. Just hop in the prop game with him. See all these fringe guys that we want to do and deal. I just get the prop investments going, and that's how you make your money off those guys.
Man.
Well, yeah, I'm in to start getting after it. I just got my Prize Picks account about 2 weeks ago for the first time because they don't have the app in Canada. Prize Picks is available, but they don't let you use the app. And so I didn't actually think I could get it, but it turns out that I can if I actually just go on the website. So yeah, let's get it popping.
Is there a chance? What are the odds, TJ? There's a kerfuffle of some sort, a redemption kerfuffle in the game tonight. 5%, 10%. I think was it Tristan Thompson tweeted out about something. He wasn't on the team, I don't think. But yeah.
Tristan Thompson's a guy that does not care, and he'll just go in and get ejected. So like, yeah, I could see that. Thompson could fire him to the ground. That would make sense.
So if you can get 10-1 on it, would you take some sort of shenanigans?
It doesn't seem worth it. No, probably not.
Are you?
Depends what you mean by shenanigans. Like if I'm getting technical foul, yeah, for sure. But like if it's like Malice at the Palace, no.
Well, yeah, I mean I want better than 10-1 on that.
Speaking of which, if you haven't watched the Malice in the Palace documentary on Netflix, as an NBA fan, I think we should all go and watch it. It is pretty good. I think they did a good job trying to clean it up a bit, and that's all I'll say because I don't want to spoil it for anyone.
Yeah, I'm sure it's good. It's in my queue somewhere. I think it's buried in my queue. I just forgot about it. Thank you for reminding me. I'll watch it over the weekend. Will, what do you have as far as the Bulls?
Not much, Dean. And the reason I say that, I will say this. I do like the fact that DeMar DeRozan's price is starting to come back down as his production has come down. Ayo Dosunmu is probably as close to what I want to get to on DK in terms of value. He's 5,400. Vooch is 8,800, and Vooch is going to have some of these games where he pops. I just don't know if this is it. Having to deal with Milwaukee, I think is going to be a tall task. But I think Ayo might be the one guy that I'm interested in. Zach LaVine to me, all these guys have become prop plays, and let me tell you why. Because Milwaukee just gives up so many 3-pointers, right? And so Zach LaVine is going to be bombs away tonight. And so from that aspect, and I don't know why, he's sitting at 2.5. I just take the over on Zach LaVine. And that's how, once again, we get away from DFS. And I think that's how you invest in Zach LaVine. For what it's worth, our projections have him at 3-pointers flat, which I totally agree with against the Milwaukee Bucks. So all in all, just kind of Ayo, because I think he has some upside in general. But that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think White's a guy that can kind of bomb away a little bit too, but he's like a little bit more of an extreme tournament line, perfectly fine. That knee is out there, and because the price is pretty good. I don't mind this matchup against Milwaukee, and he's probably my favorite. He's definitely my favorite amongst the big three, DeRozan and Vuk as a run back for Giannis. What do you have, TJ?
Yeah, I like LaVine a lot at only 7,700, and I agree with Chief. Ayo on DK is a nice looking play. And Kobe White on FanDuel, he's going to be in my pool as well. He's got a low floor, but a very high ceiling. He's a shooter, and Milwaukee gives up a lot of threes. And so he's projected for sub 1% ownership right now. Levine sub 10% at only 7,700. So yeah, I like both of them quite a bit. Like not quite a bit Kobe White, like I'm firing a lot of them, but that's another one of these sub 1% guys that I'm going to try and get 5% of to be a little bit different. Vooch only 8,200 on FanDuel. I don't mind that, but him and DeRozan, I don't expect to get a ton of tonight.
You got anything else in this game, TJ, or shall I move on?
No, let's talk some Raptors.
Yeah, the Orlando Magic at the future first round, the party Toronto Raptors. They might win a game in the playoffs. We'll give them a game.
If they get the Bulls in the first round, we're gonna talk. I want some action.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't. I think the Bulls have kind of overachieved too, for the record, but I don't think that's going to happen. We'll see. We'll see if they face each other. I think Bulls are going to fall back. But it's all right. 219 is the total here in this game.
Where do you think they're falling back to, Dean? Like 4?
Well, Milwaukee's going to pass them, and Boston's going to pass them. So they're going to be at least 5.
That's not guaranteed.
Well, no, it's not guaranteed. It's just my opinion. I don't.
That would also
I
put
pretend
them
they
at
have the
4.
almanac. I don't really have.
That would also put them at 4.
Miami, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Boston. That's 4.
Philadelphia's behind them right now.
What?
Philadelphia's behind them in the standings right now.
No, they're ahead. Philly's at 2.
Well, they're like 38,
and the Bulls are 1.5.
Yeah,
the Bulls
we're
are
doing
3.
semantics. Philly
Bulls are
is
1.5
38
games
and
out of
23,
first.
and
They're
Chicago's
second in the East right now.
No. Well, I don't know. What I'm looking at has Philly with the 62.3% win percentage.
Same.
And the Bulls with the 61.9% win percentage. So
Bulls are 62.9% winning percentage.
I don't know. I'm on ESPN.com.
Hey,
and you can
it's
take
all
the
right.
math up with them.
Either way. They're 2 or 3. After tonight, they'll probably be 4. I do expect the Bucks to win, for what it's worth.
Yeah, I do too. Semantics. It's a 9-game slate, and this couldn't be less important.
This is important. You have to figure this out. Who's gonna calculate?
No, but seriously, so let's talk about that, right? I know we got a game, but I'm telling you, if you can track the stand, after the All-Star break, tracking the standings, in my opinion, becomes more and more important in the NBA than maybe any other sport, because I feel like in the NBA, these players can affect a few more outcomes, right? Like in the NFL, when you get to the back half of the season, if your team's bad, your team's bad. Like you're not going too many places, right? But in the NBA, a team like, okay, since we're going there, let's talk about the Raptors. In 7, they could end up a 5 seed. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm saying the players in the NBA can affect games a lot more than other sports. Outside of baseball, they go and get Justin Verlander, they pair him with Scherzer, and then they go and get Noah Syndergaard and overinflate their roster to try to get to the World Series. Maybe they can create some change, and hopefully we see that, because right now, it's just
and
off
you're absolutely
the rails.
right. And the Raptors are a perfect example of that. This is a team in 7th place that will very much want to get to the 6th seed in that chance that they get to see a team like the Bulls as opposed to the Bucks. And that's going to be important for them. And you see Cleveland right now, they're 1.5 games behind Cleveland, and Cleveland plays a game against Philadelphia. That's going to be a tough one for them. The Raptors get Orlando. They're fighting for a better playoff position. And if anyone in the league is going to play his guys 1 billion minutes, it's Nick Nurse. And so that's one of the reasons, despite him struggling, that I really like Pascal Siakam tonight. Pace up matchup, terrible defense. We have him projected for 38 minutes tonight, and he's probably going to play more than that. So Siakam's a great play. Scotty Barnes's price keeps going up, but at only 6,900 on FanDuel, I think he's still in play. Gary Trent, 6,700. I absolutely love tonight. Flynn, obviously that's a DK only play, but if I'm playing on DK tonight, I'm probably locking him in. I think that's.
How do you feel about him getting kicked off the court yesterday? Basically, midway through the third, did not come back. I want to say that they closed big, right? Didn't they close with Boucher?
Yeah, they closed with Gary Trent playing point guard, and so that's one of the other reasons I really like him. But just I really like Trent tonight, but 3,700 is still just, or 39, 37, whatever he is. That's still ridiculously too cheap for a guy who very well could 10x that tonight.
And you said on FanDuel, you're not even entertaining 6.2. There's not a lot. Yeah.
No,
you're not playing them.
Not. No.
Yeah.
I'd way rather just pay 500 more for Gary Trent.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much in the same spot as well. Trent, Boucher, Barnes, Siakam, and Precious closed. So yeah, Birch starting, did not close. No surprise there. And Flynn, did not see any fourth quarter at all. Ton of ownership, of course, on the Toronto side, the condensed rotations. And like you said about Pascal, you really can't project more than 38 minutes out of 48 because, that's median. But it wouldn't surprise us if he plays 40. Wouldn't be a shock at all, even though it's a back-to-back, like whatever. Nick Nurse does not care. We're looking at the 50% ownership on Flynn for DK. I get it. And then Trent at 30%, Barnes at 28, Pascal, the most expensive of the bunch, at 20%. What do you think, Will? I know you focus more on DK. What are your thoughts as far as the Raptors? So those numbers are all justified as far as I could tell.
Yeah, for sure. And the reason why, it's always the minutes, right, Dean? Like when you look at the Raptors, for the most part, these guys are going to get their minutes. Pascal the other night didn't have the fantasy performance probably that we would have hoped. But look at the minutes. And yeah, I know we're going to get some overtime games and stuff like that. But all in all, this guy's going to play his 35, 36, 37, possibly 38 minutes. That's what I like about the Raptors. It's basically Tom Thibodeau on steroids, because he's not going to surprise us and throw in a manual quickly for 30 minutes tonight. What you see is what you get. And so I really like this team. You want to talk about Malachi Flynn, good golly, man, he's 3,900 going against Orlando. That's insane to me that he's that price.
That's how you deal with 50% ownership, is you play 100% Malachi Flynn.
Oh, well, yeah. TJ, listen, man, you must have, this isn't me tooting my own horn, okay, guys, so don't take it that way. But you must have been listening to some shows, because, I will absolutely hit the lock button. And I'm not bashful about it. Like, if I think it's a good play, right? I think one of my classic locks was actually Kristaps Porzingis one night when he was like 6,500 and nobody played him. He went off for like 50. And it's like, those are the type of stands you take, right? And he came like 8%, something crazy. And I'm like, oh man, it's going to be a good night. It was, but that's also a way to just hammer the field. He's 3,900. If he gets 30 fantasy points and you've got 100%, will you need him to take down a tournament? Maybe, but you've basically got 10x locked in one of your spots, and you've got so much more room to put in an extra good or mid-range play. So that could be the difference between you playing Mike Conley and let's say D'Angelo Russell or something. As an example, like those are the differences and plays you can make when you lock in a guy like that and he hits for you. I mean, what if he goes off for 35? Like, now you're getting close to him being completely optimal, where it's like you'll need him to win. So I like Flynn. I'm with you on the lock button for sure.
On the Orlando side, by the way, Wendell Carter is currently questionable. That's kind of a big one. Fultz is out for injury management. Not a huge one, but it does raise the ceiling of guys like Cole Anthony and Suggs. If Carter's out, we've seen more minutes of late for Bamba. I think Bamba possibly can get 30, 31 or something like that. So don't mind him at all tonight. Power rank, TJ, your thoughts as far as the Raptors, and do you think Boucher closes again tonight and maybe he they go big in the close? I think maybe it would obviously help him if Young is out. Young is questionable for what it's worth. Just kind of thin out that second rotation to some degree. So yeah, power rank the Raptors. Is Boucher closing tonight, or is it going to be Flynn closing and then jump on over to Orlando?
Yeah, so if Thad Young is out, then I love Boucher again. I'm going to be all over him, even though he looked like he was going to disappoint massively last night until he ended up getting that close. But I'm going to be running it back to him if we get Thad Young out again, especially because this Young Q tag has kept Boucher's projection low, which has kept his ownership projection pretty low. Yeah. And so if that's something that we don't get till after lock, then fantastic. Because one of the reasons Boucher is good when they're missing all of these players is when you're missing Fred VanVleet, that's a lot of exterior shooting that you no longer have. And Boucher, even though he's not the best basketball player, he can still knock down the three. And so he's a guy they like having out there to spread the floor. And so, yeah, I'll be all over Boucher if Young's out again. But if Young's in, I'm not going to be liking him very much. Maybe I'll sprinkle in the odd one for a tournament in case he gets 5 blocks. But yeah, won't be a big fan. For me, if Thad Young is in, it's just going to be all about Siakam 1, Trent 2, Barnes 3. If we get Thad Young out, it's Siakam 1, Barnes 2, Boucher 3 on FanDuel. On DK, it's Malachi Flynn number 1 by an absolute mile. On the Orlando side, I'm very interested in this Wendell Carter Jr. news. Like, if we get him out, I'm going to be playing a lot of these guys, because not only is it usage that opens up, it's rebounds that opens up, it's minutes that open up. So that secures Mo Bamba a lot more, especially against a Raptor team that likes to play very big and that aren't very good on the interior end. Like, Kem Birch was a backup on this Orlando team before he was on Toronto. Precious Achiuwa is a good defender, but he's not tall and he can't be doing anything against Bamba. And Chris Boucher weighs 180 pounds soaking wet. So yeah, I will like Bamba a lot if Carter is out. And the other one I'm going to like a lot is Chumo Kiki if Wendell Carter Jr. is out. But if he is in, I'm going to be focusing more on the guards. Cole Anthony at 5'7" on FanDuel with Markelle Fultz out, not having to worry about those minutes. That's a fantastic price. And Jalen Suggs, I'll definitely have in the pool as well. We currently have him projected sub 1% ownership. That's definitely a guy I'll try and get 5 to 10% on. And I think I might have Terrence Ross on one team just to blow $5.
We got to pick up the pace, boys. There's nothing else. Anything else that you have to say here as far as this game, or shall we move on?
No, that's it.
All right. Utah, New Orleans. I think this is kind of a catch me up game. You guys tell me. 222.5 is the total. Utah is a 4.5 point favorite. Utah fully healthy. New Orleans fully healthy. Guys that are plausible to play. So nobody getting any extra run, that kind of thing. Will, is anything jumping out for you as far as this game? Ownership wise, not a whole lot for me.
Yeah, not at all. Everyone's priced appropriately. You can always play Donovan Mitchell in these type of spots. You know, Rudy Gobert, you can always play them. I don't feel great about it.
Biggest ownership number on DK is 9% for Mitchell, which, again, like you said, you could play him. He's fine. Mitchell 8 on FanDuel, so he's got an 18% ownership. Bojan Bogdanovic has been kind of rough of late, and that's really plummeted his FanDuel price. 4.6 is worth a shot. We've seen this guy score 25 real life points in the bucket. Doesn't do a heck of a lot else as far as peripherals, but doesn't have to either at that price. TJ, what do you have?
I like New Orleans a little bit, actually. Like anytime Jonas Valanciunas plays against a big that is not going to be challenging him away from the hoop on defense, anytime he plays against somebody that likes to stick under the hoop, he usually gets extra minutes. And we know he's a great fantasy point per minute guy. So I don't mind taking shots on JV. I plan on taking some shots on Jackson Hayes in tournaments tonight on FanDuel at only 4,900 power forward eligibility. I know I was doing the expert survey today, and I know Tuttle was a fan of Brandon Ingram tonight. That's kind of a contrarian option. I didn't see that personally, but I mean, I know he's sharp, so maybe I'm going to keep him in the pool just to take a couple shots. On the Utah side, Donovan Mitchell looks like a solid play on FanDuel. Clarkson, O'Neal, Bogdanovich, maybe if you want to take a shot on just because they're all super cheap, but no targets.
Utah's defense has fallen back last 15 games, just kind of middle of the pack. Just kind of noting that. I know people see Utah typically. Nope, can't play anything against Utah. And like the usage of McCollum since coming over to New Orleans, I don't think I wouldn't scratch out Ingram, but I feel like McCollum's the more fun dart amongst the two. We've really seen him shine there. Ingram coming off a big game as well too. But yeah, again, that for me is exclusively tournament stuff only. I guess we can move on. This should be an awesome game, at least for DFS. Oh, what do you have? Yeah, the Minnesota.
No, this is my favorite game on the slate.
Okay, good. I'll throw it to you then. 230.5 is the total. Big boy number. Minnesota, OKC. Minnesota is a 10-point favorite, which I don't know. I think that's a few too many points. Is this just from a Vegas wise? I feel like OKC can keep this game. Put some respect on OKC. They just went into Denver and won as 15-point dogs. Of course, the Thunder are really severely beat up. The absence of Giddey and Jerome and Williams. Dort's a big one. Favors one more guy. Am I seeing that they only have 9 guys available tonight? Is that correct? Did I miss somebody, or is it 9 players? Of course, Minnesota is without Anthony Edwards, which is kind of a big deal. And of course, Jared Vanderbilt is questionable as well. He has a nice price on FanDuel. Yeah, TJ, and the SGA show has been going crazy of late. And I don't know, do you think Minnesota slows them down?
I don't. To quote Russell Westbrook, I think Patrick Beverley is just out there running around fooling you guys. I don't think he's actually a great defender. And so, yeah, I think that's the reason I love this game is it screams game stack to me, not because it's a tight spread, but because you can play SGA, who's expensive, and then whoever the heck you want on Minnesota. And they're all strong plays. Karl Anthony Towns, great play tonight. Only 9,300 on FanDuel. Patrick Beverley, he's going to be super high owned, but he's only 4,700 on FanDuel. One of my favorites is D'Angelo Russell, 7,800. He's without Anthony Edwards on the court. He sees a almost 27% usage rate, 1.1 fantasy points per minute. And he's going to have to, if they are going to beat them, he's going to have to be doing stuff. And he's only 7% owned right now in a very good spot. So I love getting over the field on D'Angelo Russell and just picking 3 of these Minnesota guys and running it back with Shea on the other side.
So I ran the court IQ for Minnesota. If you kick Edwards off the court, Cat has a 33% usage, which should be his usage on the season. It's not, because the other guys take more shots. He's just more efficient. That's a whole other conversation. But he gets an upgrade of 5.4% as far as his usage. And of course, it's a prime matchup against OKC. Well, OKC's defense is not as terrible as y'all think. I guess that's fair to say too. If you kind of look at the season-long numbers. Now, I know they're without Dort, their best on-ball defender, but they're not as horrific as you might imagine, I guess is a nice way of saying that. They're kind of middle of the pack, if nothing else. But yeah, I love Cat tonight. He should crush. I don't know if Vanderbilt's going to play or not, but I think he's kind of interesting. On DK specifically, oh man, DK specifically, you guys, well, you tell me, Will. What do you think of Beasley? And he's going to grab a ton of ownership that we're seeing it right now. 3.2K, like their prime shooter off the bench. He is really scoring reliant, which, if he's not getting the points in the bucket, he's not really going to get there, but he's also 3.2K. What are your thoughts here, Will? On Beasley, on SGA, on Cat, on all of it?
So see, Beasley is a guy, I'll just hit the X button. I don't. Do I trust Beasley? Yes. Do I trust him more than Malachi Flynn? No. And so this is a spot where it's like it's all about your risk tolerance, right? My risk tolerance says if Malik Beasley beats me tonight, dust your shoulders off. Tomorrow, Saturday, right? And that's how I'll take it. The one player I think I feel most comfortable with on this team is Karl Anthony Towns, and that's no secret at 10-1. I mean, this guy has a chance to, go for a massive ceiling tonight against OKC. And the fact that, both teams are semi-shorthanded, I think helps as well. And if SGA can continue performing at the level he's at, it's only going to help Karl Anthony Towns' case for a nightly MVP award at the end of the night, or at least be in the running. And so I like Karl Anthony Towns the most. Don't hate Malik Beasley, so I don't want you guys to think that. But if I had to choose between him and Flynn, I'd hit the lock button on Flynn and hit.
You can play them both though and have a lot of fun.
No, you can. And look, I'm not against that. That's why I said it's all about your risk tolerance, right? Like some people may not feel comfortable saying, well, wait a minute, this guy's 3,200. He's going to play 28 minutes. Chief, you're crazy. Well, it might take a little bit of crazy to take down a GPP every once in a while. And so, if he's going to play 27 minutes, of course, he's in play. I'm willing to hit the X button. I just trust Malachi Flynn a little bit more. And that's just the approach I'll take. But he's not a bad play. So that's not me saying he's a bad play. That's me trying to hammer the field in hopes that he puts up 18 fantasy points tonight and doesn't hurt you, but also doesn't help you, if that makes any sense.
Hey, TJ, who's your second favorite player on OKC? It looks like they're going to run 9. I think they have 9 guys, unless I missed somebody, 9 available. Again, a lot of dudes are out, obviously. Pokusevski played well last time. I assume he's going to stick in the starting lineup. I don't think the price is fully adjusted for him. Pretty solid fantasy point minute player as well. So I think he's a pretty solid play, 5.2 on FanDuel, 4.9 on DK. We saw Roby really break out against Joker last time. Man has certainly had his moments too. Besides SGA, TJ, who do you have your eye on as far as OKC?
Poku by a long shot is my second favorite. We currently have him projected at 11% ownership. I think that's way too low, especially because Thad Young is currently expected to play now. So that takes a guy like Boucher off of the board, not completely off the board, but definitely from one of the top plays in the front court. So yeah, I like Poku a ton. He's going to be the second player from OKC that I plug into my lineups. I honestly think the only player on FanDuel other than that I'm going to have in my pool is Bazley. The prices on Man and Roby are just too high for me. It's maybe they can get there, but I'm going elsewhere tonight.
You got anything else in this game, TJ?
No, that's it. I agree with Chief that like at a price of 3,200 with crazy ownership and Malik Beasley, he's a guy that could quite easily put up 3 points as easily as he could 10x that score. So we're projecting almost 40% ownership on him. That's a guy I would either be fading or trying to double the field on. I wouldn't just be sticking with that same at the field with him.
One of my general rules is I do not like playing players that have solely reliant on scoring points in the bucket at heavy ownership. I say that I might break that rule at Beasley because the opportunity is there and he's just really, really cheap. So like, but I
feel like
understand
if you
premise.
want to play him, just like build a cash game team that he's in because he's going to be incredibly high owned and it makes all the sense. And then just fade him in your tournament lineups.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, look, I don't know what to do with it. I get the premise of like not wanting to be overweight on that. But like he could also score like 25 actual points and with like 29 DK points. But
with 7 threes with that DK bonus and
yeah. And then
he's incredibly volatile. He could have 3 points as easy as he could have 30.
Yeah. All right. Houston versus Denver. This is a weird one because it's got a 239 total. In theory, this would be an appealing game. We know about Denver. It's essentially Jokic's world and nobody else. Kind of referenced up a couple of times and that's the tricky part again when you're playing on FanDuel, TJ, is that Jokic is 11K over there. He's 12-6 on DK, much harder to roster. Like you certainly can, and also you can only roster one center, which makes it even harder to roster. Not hard to roster guys like Cat or Embiid, but you have to nail center. Like that's the first thing. Your first mission you're playing on FanDuel. You just can't miss. You can't miss on center. But Jokic at 11K, awesome price. They are 14-point favorites tonight against Houston. Schroeder not expected to play, not a big deal, but just want to throw it out there. Tate should be available with his ankle. Gordon should be good to go with his groin. TJ, it's a big number, but a lot of the points are being pushed to the Denver side. What are your thoughts on this game?
Jokic is going to be a guy tonight that I'm really not going to let beat me either way because I don't know what to expect. If Houston somehow keeps this game close, I am too afraid to be underweight on Nikola Jokic because he has just the highest ceiling on the slate with Giannis. And so I'm probably going to be right around the field because I don't love this spot with how big of favorites they are. And he hasn't been playing that well lately. He's been deferring to other guys a little bit lately. Yeah. And so if I have a lean, it'll probably be a bit underweight on Jokic. I definitely like Giannis better between the two of them. But I don't mind going to some of these secondary guys on Denver. I like Will Barton tonight, mid 5Ks, Aaron Gordon, mid 5Ks, like that. Monte Morris, I think there are worse things. The two shots I don't mind tonight are Boogie on Houston, or sorry, on Denver, and
revenge game
and Şengün on Houston. I don't mind playing the stack of like Denver blows these guys out by 25 points and it's the backups in the entire fourth quarter because Boogie and Şengün are both players that if that happens and they get 12 minutes of fourth quarter run, they could both have 30 plus fantasy points tonight, and they correlate so well together in that regard. So I don't mind a little Boogie Şengün mini stack tonight.
Will, what do you have for me in this game?
I'm not really a believer in Denver. I think Houston hangs around here. So I like, KPJ, Jayshawn Tate, Christian Wood. I think these guys are good plays. You know, and I think Jokic is a good play as well. But in my opinion, hear what I'm saying, not what I'm not saying, okay? The Nuggets aren't that much better than Houston. They just have Nikola Jokic. Hopefully everybody understands what I'm saying. Like, if you take Jokic off of the Nuggets, they are Houston, by the way. They're not winning any games. Now, and of course, you know, Jamal Murray's not there, but that's what I'm saying. Like, with all these guys out, not playing, you know, the Nuggets aren't that much better than Houston. I think Houston can hang around here enough to push this team into playing some real minutes. So we've got Jokic at 12%, and that's just because he's been, you know, a man amongst boys, or a man amongst most of the boys in the league in terms of fantasy production. So I think you play him tonight. You know, I know the upside hasn't completely been there, but listen to what we're saying now. The upside hasn't completely been there, and he's been at 50, 49, 50, 60. He's still cranking out 50 fantasy points, and he's having, for our standards in terms of fantasy production, bad games because of his price. What better spot for him to drop 80 than against Houston, who just hangs around the whole game, and he just gets easy runs at the bucket, easy rebounds, easy assists. I like Jokic here, and I think if you do it, I would absolutely have some KPJ on the other side. Now, I'm not a big Jalen Green fan for the same reason you're not a Malik Beasley fan. He's got to score to get there. The other night, he happened to have some steals and blocks, which aren't going to come most of the time, which is why I'm more interested in Jayshawn Tate, you know, because he's going to be more of a box score filler, that if he scores 25 points, he might go for 50. Whereas if Jalen Green scores 25 points, he may go for 26 fantasy points. You get my drift. Love Jokic. Love a few of these Houston pieces.
All right.
Yeah, I will say too, Tate
ahead,
on
TJ.
Houston, Tate on DK is a really nice play. I think only 5,500. He's 66 on FanDuel, so I don't like him there. Yeah. I'm going to be very cognizant with my Jokic lineups tonight. I think my plan is, like, I have 150. I'm not planning on building 150 in lineup HQ. I'm planning on building like 130 or 135 in lineup HQ. And all the other ones I'm planning on doing like full game stack style. And so I'm planning on doing a lot of Jokic in that situation with KPJ and Christian Wood. And then I am going to be on the teams I don't have them. Those are going to be the teams I'm going to mix in some Şengün, maybe even some KJ Martin, something like that.
Are you putting any sort of rule with Jokic in your build that if you play Jokic, you're running him back with somebody?
Probably.
I know you talked about game stacks. I'm just saying, like, just in general.
I don't think I'm going to put a rule. I don't think I'm going to put a rule just because he could go off and be the reason they blow them out. But I am going to be making a point of making some game stacks.
Gotcha. FanDuel single entry series continues tonight. By the way, the $100 one is going down there, sponsored by Rotogrinders. Not sure if it's filled up just yet or not.
I missed that. I really missed that.
Well, you're missing the boat. I'm not sure if there's still spots remaining there in the lobby, but you know, I love the single entry. I played it last night. I did cash. I think we made cash last night. Also, when I mentioned, we're talking about the Discord before. Do get your questions, by the way. They're being compiled right now. We're going to talk about them. Answer your questions right after we talk about the Hammer game in a second of Phoenix. But where do you want to throw your questions? YouTube's asking, what? There's nowhere to type my question. Go to the Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord. The live oh wow, why couldn't I think of it? Live stream chat. Yeah, the live stream chat room. Devin is lurking. Producer Devin, producer Steven. They're going to go ahead and pull your questions. More details, the better. Tell us where you're playing, if it's for cash, tournaments, all that kind of stuff. We'll be happy to answer as many questions as possible. And if you participate in that conversation, sometimes you'll get rewarded with 1 week free of RG Premium. Somebody was. Let's go ahead and give a shout out to DMSR320. You won yourself 1 week free of Rotogrinders Premium. All right, questions are going to be compiled. We'll talk about that in a second, but still a really good game that we need to dig into. Phoenix at home tonight versus New York. 222.5 is the total. Phoenix is a 6-point favorite. Of course, big deal being that Chris Paul and Booker are not playing. The New York side, Toppin, I believe, is questionable for the Knicks. Campaign. He came back and played, 5-minute spurts or so, and they blew out I can't remember who their opponent was last game, but they absolutely walloped them. Might have been Portland. Payne is going to be popular once again tonight. Shamit's a cheapie that's kind of sort of somewhat interesting too. Thoughts as far as the Suns, Will?
Well, if you think Campaign is going to pick up any more minutes, then I think you need to be just as excited about him as you are in terms of Malachi Flynn. And the reason why I'm mentioning that, I mean, he took 8 shots. He only hit 2 shots. Nowhere, 2 more shots. He's at 50%. Now he's hitting 30 fantasy points. So I didn't read up on. I'm sorry about that. That's shame on me for being unprepared about a Cameron Payne take. But if they're going to bump him another 5 minutes, then I think that's good. They're playing the Knicks. The Knicks are a great team, and I think it's a good spot for him. I do like Cam Johnson. I wish they would just give Cam Johnson 30 minutes now that these guys are out. But I mean, and he probably will if the game's close. Like we talked about, they beat Portland pretty good. But Cam Johnson at 5,800 doesn't feel great because the projection isn't coming in well. But if he plays 35 minutes, if the Knicks can somehow push this team to keep this game close, which they could, they really could, then I think Cam Johnson, he's a candidate for 35 to 40 fantasy points. Really like him a lot here.
Campaign was great. In the limited time he played like 13, 14 minutes or so in the first half. That game completely blew out. So he did not play any fourth quarter run, but he played 5 or 6 minute stints in the start of the first, start of the second, and he closed the second quarter with a few minutes as well. It was a bit of a surprise that Johnson did not start. We saw Shamet draw the start last game. Not sure if that's going to continue going forward. Shamet did come out early. I think that was from foul trouble, though, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he got 2 really quick fouls, and Johnson relieved him 2 or 3 minutes into the game. Who knows how that happens tonight? But yeah, I was surprised to see Johnson not start. But if Shamet does start, I think he's still a pretty interesting value. What do you have for me, TJ, as far as your thoughts on the Suns? And of course, not neglecting him, but you can play Ayton as well. And Crowder had an incredible game too.
I think if ownership actually does stay like this and Shamet's not at all sneaky, he's going to be 20 to 30% owned. That to me screams easiest fade ever. I would way rather play Malik Beasley at high ownership than Landry Shamet at high ownership.
Oh, absolutely.
This isn't a guy that's ever been a good point per minute producer, regardless of who's out. He plays because he can hit open threes and he's a good defender. He's not a star fantasy point player by any means. So I have no interest in him. But I like Campaign a lot. I would like Chief said, I'd way rather take shots on Cam Johnson or a guy even like Jay Crowder than the cheapie like Landry Shamet. So I don't have any interest in him tonight, but I love most of this team. I love Payne. I'll play a little Bridges, but he's got the ownership to go with it. So I don't really love him. But I love getting over the field on Crowder and Johnson tonight since they're not going to be owned. And DeAndre Ayton is among my favorite centers tonight.
To your point, by the way, Shamet on the season, 0.66 FanDuel points per minute, 0.69 on DK. Not nice, not spectacular. Yeah, I mean, but he's still minimum on FanDuel. And again, it wouldn't shock me if he's coming off the bench and Johnson starts. We'll see. Not certain how that's going to go down. Or maybe not closing.
I'll tell you right now, there is a very, very good chance, unless Wendell Carter ends up out, then it'll probably be Mo Bamba. But unless that happens, I say there's a very good chance. And the FanDuel single entry series tonight that I hope everyone's in, it's filled now. I just checked. There's a good
Wendell
chance
Carter is out.
All right. Well, that ruins everything I was just going to say because now it'll probably be Bamba, but it was going to be DeAndre Ayton.
Anthony, Suggs, Wagner, Bamba, and Okiki is drawing the start there for Orlando. John Collins available, by the way. So I would say that's a slight tick to Capella.
I mean, all the good things you want to get accomplished, and then the news just comes and slams your big toe.
We gotta
because of that. I love it. We got still got what, 4 minutes?
Ish, yeah. We have some questions too. And whatever you have in New York, I don't have a lot to say. What do you have, TJ?
On New York, Julius Randle, you can play at 8,800 on FanDuel, low ownership. RJ Barrett's price is just getting way too high. If you want to take shots on Mitchell Robinson, Evan Fournier, I won't stop you. Alec Burks projects well, but he's just not been playing well lately. And that's about it. There's some guys that look good if they fit in your lineup. I'm not going to tell you not to, but definitely not a lot of targets. I like Okiki and Bamba a lot. I love Okiki and Bamba tonight.
Let me say this. And this is my rule of thumb, Dean. A guy's taking 20 plus shots, you just keep playing them. RJ's upside is tied to his 20+ shots a game right now. And he is getting peripherals. But I mean, the last 3 games, 22, 22, 23 shots. And this is all after the All-Star break. If he's going to take another 23 shots, 20+, I got to be in. He sees 7,700 on DK. This is probably the last day before 8K. And if he goes for another 40-ish spot, the next slate he's 8,200. And then I'll hop off. I can't pass up 20+ shots.
Question in the chat. Oh, I'm sorry. I cut you off.
he's priced up. And so like, I'll have him on a team where I have 3 Suns, but I'm not going to have a lot of them in my pool.
All right, going to try to run through these before you step aside and make way for Crunch Time, the premium show on Rotogrinders.com. TJ, FanDuel, question, single entry. Carolina guy wants to know, for a single entry, who's your favorite spend up?
Single entry favorite spend up. Overall, it's Giannis, but just as a somewhat contrarian option, it's Trae Young.
DK tournament thoughts as far as Malik Beasley. We kind of gave them already. Like it's an uncomfortable number if he's going to be like 30% owned, but I understand that ownership. And it sounds like you guys are both like fade.
I'm not necessarily fade, but I'm fade or double it.
Okay. Yeah. I'm probably going to double it. Begrudge. I don't know. I don't like speaking in definitives because who knows what's going to happen when I get off the show, that kind of thing. But as of right now, I'm leaning toward to be in on Beasley. TJ, do you like for tournaments, DK tournaments, Bamba or Okiki? The news just broke. Obviously, that's what we're reacting to.
For DK, you said?
Yeah. I should. Yeah.
I'm just checking the difference on their prices right now.
Yeah, so Bamba is
5.2
and Okiki's 5.
I love both. Like if I'm only playing one, I like Okiki better because just because you don't have to use them at that center position and that saves you space to use it elsewhere. But so I'll go Okiki out of the 2 of them, but I love them both.
All right, Will, we got a prize picks question for you from Flores Mark. Embiid, is he going to score more or less than 29.5 points?
Oh, over.
Anybody have a crystal ball to know if Cunningham will be out tonight? Well, don't have a crystal ball, but this is
crystal ball. Cade Cunningham will play.
I actually have a magic 8 ball here just for this particular. We don't have time for it though. But yeah, news says he's going to play. Bay over 17.5 might be. Yeah, so I think you got to. Well, I don't know if that's a good number or a bad number on Bay. To be honest, I've not dug into it. Who's got a Jalen Smith take? You know, is Gogo Watazi? He's available. Is he actually going to play? Jalen.
I mean, why would he? Like, I don't know what
if you're running 150, you can keep him in the pool, but not a target.
We have Gogo projected for 3 minutes for what it's worth, just to kind of get him in the projection. They're asking about Jalen Smith, like 20. We got Jalen Smith for 27, Jackson for 21, Brissett for 30. It's kind of a mess though, man. I have a hard time figuring out that Indiana front court. Who's your favorite amongst that bunch, TJ? I'm sorry, I missed if you said.
Jackson on DK, Smith on FanDuel. Or sorry, Brissett on DK and Smith on FanDuel. But I like Jackson better than Smith on DK.
Will, give me your favorite player tonight, your favorite prize picks back, your favorite something before we step aside and get out of here.
O'Shea Brissett, 11 fantasy points. KCP, 13.5 real points. James Harden, 25 first half fantasy points. These are all overs, by the way.
They're all your favorite.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, and then I also like Trae Young, 13.5 first half over as well.
How many best friends do you have?
Me? Let's go.
I'm just being a smart ass.
Like 3 or 4. Like,
That's,
you know.
Oh, all right.
We're gonna get closer, Chief. We're gonna make that a definitive 4.
No, it can't be more than 1 is the point. You can't have more than 1 favorite.
Yeah, Dean, I understand. You know how this goes, right, Dean? You go on a
You're
rant
just jealous because you're not on the list, Dean.
Am I not in the conversation? I'm off the Family Feud board. TJ, give me your favorite. All 9 of your favorite plays tonight.
All 9 of my favorite plays. You combine 2 stacks of, you stack up Orlando with Toronto, you stack up OKC with Minnesota, and you run 1 or 2 late night hammers from that Suns game for all the money.
All righty, y'all. Appreciate you hanging with us. Do hit that like button if you're watching us on the old YouTube. Subscribe. We'd appreciate that. It helps us keep the lights on. Thanks to producer Steve, producer
Everyone.
Devin, lurking in the Discord channel. Thank you to Will. Great to have you back. That was TJ. That was basketball. I was Dean. Enjoy your weekend. We're out of here. Holler.